What's the role the Gulf Cartel is going to play in these ever-changing and new alliances forming within Mexican cartels? A lot of my viewers commented and asked questions about that, and I wanted to take this opportunity to answer it. Number one, I think it's important to highlight that just as the Sinaloa cartel, the Gulf Cartel as a unitary group doesn't really exist anymore. They've had a very violent civil war that has lasted for years now, and they have fractured into various factions, with the two main ones that have been fighting each other being the Scorpion Group, or Grupo Escorpión, out of Matamoros, and the Metros out of Reynosa. Now the Metros, based on the last Treasury Department sanction list, they're basically CJNG, and they should not be considered as a Gulf Cartel faction. It was well known they were allies of CJNG, and they had another group called Zetas Viejas Escuelas, or Old School Zetas, and that group of people were viewed as allies of CJNG, but the Treasury Department says, no, they are CJNG. So that leaves us the Grupo Escorpión, the main faction left of the Gulf Cartel, and maybe the ones that have a legitimate claim to call themselves the Gulf Cartel. What are they going to do? Well, right now, what we do know is after years and years of civil war between the Metros and the Scorpion Group, in February of 2025, they announced a ceasefire. That ceasefire, based on a lot of accounts that focus on Tamaulipas, came from political pressure between the Mexican federal and Tamaulipas state government because simply the violence got out of hand. Tamaulipas was suffering too much and they needed the violence to end. And that ceasefire, announced in February, to this day is still in effect and has not changed. The other ceasefire announced between the Metros and the CDN, or the Northeast Cartel, that did not last long and quickly collapsed and violence returned. But if you look at Tamaulipas and you look at the Metros and the Scorpion Group, fighting has ceased. So the question now becomes, does the alliance between Los Chapitos and Jalisco New Generation Cartel maybe worry the Scorpion Group? Because now the Jalisco New Generation Cartel is being expanded with the incorporation of Los Chapitos. And the Scorpion Group see a moment of weakness in their eyes as saying, we might be the underdogs here. We need to reach out to, let's say, Maito Flaco, or even CDN to fight against the Metros. I personally am not seeing any reporting that backs that up. And right now, it just looks like the Scorpion Group is focused on their own internal dynamics and their own internal cartel. And they're more than happy with this ceasefire and more than content of just pushing products, human smuggling, and anything they can get their hands on into the United States to make money. Again, just like anything with Cartel Dynamics, it can quickly change. And one day there can be peace, and when the next day, absolute violence and chaos. So we have to base ourselves on what's publicly available and what we can get from reporting on the ground. And that's all we see, is that the Scorpion Group does not want to change that dynamic. And it does look like the federal government in Mexico and the Tamaulipas state government doesn't want that to change. So for now, the Scorpion Group is concentrated in Matamoros, and they are not going to do anything to change the dynamics with either the Metros, Maito Flaco, or CDN.